to episode 11 of PK's Place. It's good to be talking to everyone once again. Hope everyone enjoyed their lovely weekend here in August as summer continues to roll on. And it's weird because I always feel like at this time in August that it honestly doesn't feel like summer anymore, because obviously there's different things like back to school, back to obviously like sports season. So it doesn't really feel like summer too much, but I feel like that everyone needs to really savor that summer that's going on. So, and also you might be wondering why I have the TV monitor set up in the background. I have moved into the house that I will be staying at in college. And for everyone that's wondering, like, oh, why aren't you staying in the dorms? You get to stay in a house. Well, I mean, it's what happens when you get to go into college as pretty much a 21-year-old freshman. So, I don't have to stay in the dorms, which is honestly nice because I don't really feel like dealing with any RAs. And, a weird theme of mine over the weekend that I was thinking about, I'm like, and this is no disrespect to anyone out there listening that is an RA, you do you, but I'm just thinking to myself, I'm like, what makes people want to like be a narc? Like they actually, bust people for bringing booze, or I don't know, just anything. Like it's like, why do you gotta be a narc? Like, I don't know. That's just what I think. But I mean, schools need them, so I mean, more power to them. Today's episode, we're gonna be having a good friend of mine on. It is Marcus Gretz, who plays for the Flint Firebirds in the OHL. We chatted for about an hour and 20 minutes. It was actually a really good interview. So we were in LA together on our boys trip, which we talked about a little bit. So I saw him about a little over 2 months ago, and no, he's a very good person. I think you guys will like this interview. And you know what? Without further ado, we're going to send it over to Marcus Gretz. All right, so our next guest joining us is going into his fourth and his final year in the OHL with the Flint Firebirds. He also did a bit of time overseas in Germany. It is a good friend of mine, Marcus Gretz. What's up, Gretter?
PK, thanks for having me. Excited to be here.
Of course, good to have you on. So you actually went to a NASCAR race earlier today. What was the atmosphere like, especially them having fans back and everything?
It was actually really nice to see. It was probably 70, 80,000 people, and not a lot of masks, but it was good to see everyone getting out, enjoying the sun, and just kind of straying away from this life that we now, I guess, call our lives. It's been a crazy last, I guess, year and a half now, 2 years, and it was good to see people out there.
Absolutely. Who ended up winning the race, if you don't mind spoiling it?
I don't even know. We didn't stay till the end. It started raining, so we weren't sure if they were going to finish. So I don't even know if they did finish.
Now, has that ever happened in a NASCAR race that you've watched before where it starts like raining or any other type of elements, but they like call it kind of like a rain delay, like in baseball?
Yeah, I've never been to one where it's called completely. So that was kind of interesting. I wasn't sure how things would work. But no, it's such a crazy sport. And, I'm a big Formula One fan, and I like IndyCar a lot too. So, just hearing the cars go by, it's something else for sure.
Yeah, Formula One's pretty cool. I know there's the show Drive to Survive, which is still on my list of things to watch. Have you watched it? And if so, what are your thoughts being an F1 fan?
Unbelievable show. I think if you start watching the races first, you won't really like it. But if you start with Drive to Survive, you'll definitely get into F1.
For sure. And I've listened to a few interviews on Part of My Take with, I think it's Daniel Ricciardo and Christian Horner and a few of the different drivers, and they are very interesting people. So it definitely has me intrigued to check it out in the future.
Yeah, and it's pretty similar to hockey too. Like they start racing go-karts when they're about probably 5, 6 years old, and then obviously they start stepping up into the cars, and if they're lucky enough, they get to drive an F1 car. But those are for the select few.
That's actually pretty cool that you get to drive like at 5 years old, you get to drive a go-kart. Like that's actually pretty rad.
Oh yeah, and like that's your job for life. Like that'd be wild.
No, that would be totally insane. And so for those listening and watching on YouTube, a few times I've alluded to the boys trip that me and Gretz and Igor and the other guys in our crew went on. Gretz, what was your what are your thoughts on our guys trip this year? Any
Um,
takeaways?
we definitely battled here at times, but it was a great trip. I had so much fun. I think I got to know some of the boys better, especially outside of soccer and outside of the rink. So that was a good time. And I think Igor did a good job showing us around LA, and that was a pretty cool experience.
Yeah, it was so much fun. And honestly, what was funny was like, so Gretz got in a day or two after everyone else got in. And one of the first phrases that Gretz said that I just, for me, like clicked like that was he just goes, like, we're battling. It's a battle.
Yeah, it was a battle. It had its moments, but everyone survived. Everyone made it through. It was a good time.
Yeah, it was very entertaining. I mean, just some of the places we went were off the charts. Going to the beach was great. It just
Oh
overall
yeah.
it was the vibes were great. And that was actually his Gretz, that was your first time in LA. What first impression do you think LA made on you?
Well, I think everyone that goes there wants to move there, but I think a lot of them regret it when they get there. So I think a couple more trips, and I really like it there. I'm not a big fan of the people just because I'm pretty secluded and I don't like to be I don't know, I guess I don't know what the word for it. I'd say I guess probably just more I'm probably more shy. So I think it'd be
Introverted, yeah.
yeah, it would definitely be an interesting experience if I moved there, but no, to visit, it's unbelievable.
Yeah, just some of the things that happened on that trip were pretty crazy. Like I know like the last night we went to dinner, we actually ended up seeing a rapper. Want to take everyone through that story of what happened?
Yeah, it was so Grant Bondi, one of our other really close friends, all week had been manifesting just the most random stuff. Like he would say something and 20 minutes later it would happen. So
Yeah.
on the way to dinner, we were playing nothing but Polo G, just jamming. Pretty much the whole trip, we played nothing but Polo G.
Mhm.
But Bondi said, "Man, how crazy would it be if we saw him?" So we're sitting there mid dinner and we see this big posse come in and we're like, "Who is that? Who is that?" Turns out it was Polo G right at the table next to us. And it's kind of hard not to look, but you feel bad if you do look because you're at a nice restaurant. You don't really want to bother them, but it was pretty crazy. And then seeing Dan Bilzerian was pretty wild too.
Yeah, that was insane. With Polo G, what was interesting was the rest to set the scene for everyone. The restaurant was a little dimly lit, so at first we actually didn't know if it really was him. And
Right.
unfortunately, our friend Bedenko was not feeling good that day, so he didn't come out to dinner with us. And I think if he was there, he probably would have like whispered in one of our ears, been like, "Yo, that's Polo G." Like he's sitting right next to us. What was also
Yeah.
interesting was if you remember, he like they went outside. I think they like smoked a joint or something. They came back in, they ate their food, and then they just bounced like that. It was
Oh,
wild.
it was ridiculous how much the control they had. Like they just walked in, ordered their food, walked back out, come back in like 30 minutes later, eat and leave. Everyone was catering to them. They literally got whatever they wanted, and we're just sitting there like, yeah, we'll take a bottle of water for sure. But no, it was crazy. It was cool to see.
That was crazy. And then for everyone that doesn't know the Blazarian story, quick. So we were at Catch LA, which I've mentioned it a few times on the podcast. Unbelievable restaurant. If you happen to be in the LA area, you have to check it out. I think Gretz, you would say it was elite food.
Unbelievable. Yeah,
Unbelievable. So
probably the
we
best
get
ever.
oh, awesome. So we get outside and I pay for the valet service. I'm just waiting there for my car, just minding my own business. And then I just see him in a like a white Ignite t-shirt. Cause I even saw the logo on the back, like just like workout clothes. I just see him walk out of the restaurant across the street and into his Escalade. And I was like,
Oh yeah.
I'm like, did he just walk across the street? I'm like, what's happening?
And he flew out of there too. He was with some girl and they literally almost sprinted to the car. And no, everyone was like, wait, was that actually Dan? And it was Dan. But the crazy part is, I remember too, another one of Bondi's manifestations. We were we were on the way there. We just pulled up, and one of Dan's Lamborghinis was there. We didn't know whose Lamborghini it was, and Bondi just goes, "Wouldn't that be crazy if it's Balzarian's Lamborghini?" Sure enough, it was. Like, what are the odds?
Yeah, that was so insane that he like the whole trip he just called things and they
Yeah.
actually happened. That was no, that was honestly wild. Now I guess switching gears a little bit. So you're obviously going into your last year with Flint. So what effect did it have on you? Obviously, not being able to play last year with Flint because obviously the OHL was not able to play, and it was unfortunate for a lot of players.
Yeah. Luckily enough, like you had said earlier, I was able to get over to Germany. But for a while, I was starting to kind of lose my mind because my rookie year in the O, I separated my shoulder, missed about half the season. Second year, I played 20 games, needed shoulder surgery. Third year, which was the year COVID first happened, I broke my wrist, and then finally was healthy, starting to feel good again, starting to get back to who I was as a player. And bam, COVID hit right before playoffs. So I was probably off for about 8, 9 months, and then I got the call to be able to go over Germany because I'm a German citizen. And that was a no-brainer. I had a great time over there. It was such a good experience playing pro hockey, playing with kids who I'm almost closer to their kids in age than them in age. And yeah, no, it was just a fun time. And I really feel for the kids who couldn't play last year because that's a full year of development gone. And they couldn't even, some of the kids in Ontario couldn't skate, they couldn't work out. And it was a tough year for Ontario Hockey League for sure.
Yeah, it was rather unfortunate that they missed out on that opportunity. So yeah,
Yeah.
so you said obviously you went to Germany. So how long have you had that German passport?
Funny story. I was actually in a basketball camp when I was like 7 or 8, and my dad kept saying, "Oh, we have to go get your passport. Like this is the last day we can get it, or else you won't be able to get one." And I was like, "No, I don't want to leave basketball camp." So eventually, they drugged me out of camp, and we got the passport. So I've had it since I was like 7 or 8, and then just have to get it renewed whenever it runs out.
So how often do you think it comes in handy? Like, would you say you made the right choice getting the passport?
Oh, definitely. I'm a German citizen, so I can free healthcare. I get all the benefits of someone that's living over there, and if the way the world is right now, who knows if I need to use it? Who knows what's happening? And even for hockey, right? Like if I can't make it into the NHL or AHL, then I can always go to Europe or it just gives you a lot more options, and it's nice to be able to have options.
Absolutely, and I think with free healthcare too, I think that's something that I believe in, and I feel like a lot more Americans are believing in that. Like, why the reason, like the fact we don't have free healthcare is kind of a joke. Like, I feel like
You know.
we can the government can work a little money around to make that happen, and I definitely think that comes in handy, especially like when you're a German citizen that something happens, like you're covered.
Yeah, I mean, I to a certain extent it is free. Obviously, if something crazy happens, the hospital won't cover it. But if you go in with like a broken arm, they'll take care of you for free. Or you go in with the sniffles, they take care of you for free. But yeah, I mean, I think the way society's moving, I think we have a lot more issues than just free healthcare. So I think they just got to try and work out some other things, and then maybe that's probably going to come in the future. But who really knows? It's not up to us, and we have to live with it.
Yeah, it's not something that we can control. So even going to Germany, how what was the difference in handling COVID over there as opposed to here in America?
Well, it was complete lockdown. So the only thing open were grocery stores. And over there, there's not really like a Walmart or a Target where you walk in and you have your electronics, you have your food, you have toys, you have all that. It was strictly food. So there was a point over there, I think it was like my last 3 weeks there. I had to use my teammate's phone charger every day because in order to order stuff off Amazon, I needed a German bank account. I needed to proof I lived in Germany, but the team was paying for the house. So where could I get proof from? So I actually had to use my teammate's phone charger for the last 3 weeks, and it was a little hectic. I'm sure I would have liked it a lot more if things were open, but it was still such a cool experience, and I wouldn't have traded it for anything.
Absolutely. The one thing that's interesting about like here at least in North America with like Walmart, Target is these stores promote one-stop shopping so you can get like your, like you say, your electronics, your food, your clothes.
Yeah.
Where yeah, it doesn't seem like that really is a thing anywhere else in the world. So like I could just imagine your roommate when you're sharing your phone charger, it's like this guy again, like he needs my phone
Yeah.
charger.
I felt so bad. I'd like his phone would be charging. I'd say, Trivy, like, can I borrow it again? He's like, oh, no problem, Gretzo. And I'd just be like, this isn't me. Like, I hate having to like mooch off other people, and if that makes sense. So
Mhm.
yeah, it was a struggle, but I made it through.
Yeah. So speaking of the German passport, how much German do you actually know? Like how much do you speak?
Um, I can speak a little bit. I know enough to get around for a couple days. If I was over there alone, with like no knowledge of anything, I could definitely like figure stuff out, but I can read it a lot better and I can listen a lot better. So speaking's hard, especially with the vocabulary and, learning your vowels. Like here, A, B, C, D, there it's a, bet, set, de. So it's like, oh, okay, it's just learning the different, I guess, vocals and how to say certain words, when to roll your tongue, when not to, and stuff like that.
Yeah. So had you been to Germany before you obviously ended up going to Hanover?
Yeah, we used to go every summer. My dad's from there. He moved here when he was 29 to marry my mom. And yeah, so we used to go every summer. I still have all my family over there, and we try and go as much as we can. I think my dad's flying out there tomorrow, and I would have loved to go, but I have to report back to Flint on Sunday. So I won't be there for that trip, but hopefully I can go next summer.
So what's your favorite city in Germany? Any cool spots for the people listening and watching to maybe hit up in the future?
Oh, I think anywhere you go in the city, it's unbelievable there. It's just the culture there is so different. Like you could go one night, probably downtown Berlin, nightclubs, all that stuff, but then the next night go in the Black Forest and probably have just as much fun, if not more fun, with thousands less people. So the culture there, it's really fun. They love to dance, sing, and just everyone loves everyone over there almost. It's like just everyone when you go out, everyone's just a big family.
Did you just say family? I think I think Dom Toretto's gonna. I think he would love Germany. He's gonna pop. He's gonna pop in.
Yeah, Dom will show up for sure.
Oh my god. Also, like you probably know this too, being there, but like the drinking culture is huge over there.
Yeah, it was actually kind of shocking. Like you see all the people, like even though stuff was closed, you'd see people walking around the town in their lederhosen and drinking beer, and it'd be like Wednesday 9 a.m. and you say, "What is going on?" Like you should be at work or doing something, not drinking on a 9 a.m. day. So that was kind of interesting to see. The culture over there is funny for sure.
Were you over there during Oktoberfest, or did you go over at a later time?
Oh, I got in there December like 15th, and then I had to quarantine for 5 days, and I joined the team practice on like December 20th or December 21st.
Oktoberfest, like for anyone that's unfamiliar with Oktoberfest, big thing in Germany, huge festival, drinking, everything. Seems
Yeah.
like just such a fun time.
Oh yeah, my dad used to tell me about it all the time, and him and all his buddies used to go when they were at that young age and wanted to have some fun. And I think when I get a little bit older, it'd be definitely fun to go hang out there and get that side of the culture.
Absolutely. And I guess the one thing about Germany to me that's interesting is I feel like most people don't think of it as really a hockey country. I feel like obviously like football and American soccer, obviously. I feel like that's what the main sport is or the biggest sport. But no, I mean I think hockey, especially of late, has become big with you see guys like obviously like Dreisaitl's a big star and like
Stützle,
Stutzel, yes,
yeah.
Sider on for the Red Wings. Like, there's good talent that's coming up, but I feel like, especially when we were growing up, Germany wasn't really a hockey powerhouse. But I feel like it's kind of cool that it's turning the page.
Yeah, no, they're definitely starting to work on things. I think one of the reasons they're behind is during the summer there, they actually don't get ice. So like certain cities, they have three or four rinks, but during the summer they shut them all down. So the closest ice for most of these kids is 3-4 hours away. And who's going to drive 3-4 hours a day each way just to skate?
No one.
So most of those kids spend their summers, probably just drinking and just having fun and being kids. And I think that's where they get behind. But then when you get the kids like Stutzla and Cider and Dreisaitl that you can tell actually want it and want to succeed, they have every right to. And I think another interesting thing I've seen a lot of Europe do is they put the kids in gymnastics at a young age. So they learn flexibility, how to control their body. The kids are playing soccer, learning their footwork. And so they're ahead of us in certain ways, but also behind in a lot. So it's interesting to compare for sure.
Yeah, and I've talked about it before with soccer. Is I think it's cool that in Europe and especially in England, they have the academy system, so you can obviously play when you're like 8 years old, then you can work your way up to the either Germany, it's the Bundesliga team, or in England, it's the Premier League team. So I think that in Europe, they have a very good development system within the sport.
Yeah. I think pretty much whatever sport you look at over there, that there is a system in place, and it's pretty similar with that with hockey. They don't really allow kids to play up and stuff like that, but for example, one of my close buddies from playing over there, Nick Eichinger, he grew up playing for the Cologne Sharks junior team, but they also have a DEL team, which is the top league over there. So a bunch of those kids would love to play for the DL team, but if they don't make it, they can sign elsewhere. And it is a bit of an academy, but not in the exact same sense as soccer.
Yeah, for sure. Do you have any interesting stories when you played in Germany, especially like just like shenanigans or just things that happen?
I did watch three midgets chase someone down the street.
All right,
That
let's
was
get
kind
into
of
it. Yeah.
yeah. I mean, we were walking around Christmas time, and we were on those like bird scooters or whatever. And this guy was just, we were in like town square, and this guy was just being really obnoxious, being really rowdy, like throwing stuff around, breaking stuff. And I'm kind of looking away from him, and out of like the corner of my eyes, I saw what I think were like three or four dogs just running. So I turned my head, and it's three midgets, and with like two or three like big 6'5" burly dudes, and they're rushing this guy. I'm like, okay, what is going on? Like, we're thinking it's mafia. We don't know what's happening. The guy started running. The midgets ended up stop chasing him, but I've never seen anything like that, and I don't think I ever will again. Like, I don't know what it was, why they wanted that guy, if it was mafia, what it was. It was wild.
Yeah, that's crazy. I mean, I feel like it's like you can't help but look, but at the same time, you're just thinking
Yeah,
like, well, I don't really want to look because like, what if I'm gonna get whacked for just like
yeah,
being in that vicinity? Like,
yeah. It's like you don't want to mess with them either, because like they may be small, but you don't know what's gonna happen. Like
mhm.
it's crazy. I've never seen anything like it.
Yeah, no, yeah, that's wild for sure. So you said in Germany, you said the team paid for your house. They paid for like mainly like most of your expenses.
Yeah. It was a really good experience. They booked me the flight over there, and when I got there, I was staying in a pretty big house with three other players, and no, I don't have any complaints. It was just fun. I mean, you probably understand, every hockey player listening will probably understand it's not the easiest living with four hockey players, but everyone did a great job. We all made it work, and the kitchen got a bit packed at times, but we figured it out.
You know what they say, if you can't handle the heat, get out of the kitchen.
Seriously.
What
Yeah.
um what was your favorite German cuisine while you were there? Because there's some really good food in Germany.
Doner kebab. Easy. It's I think it's Turkish, but they brought it over after the war. And it started in Berlin actually. And basically what it is, it's like a gyro pita, but it's cut open, and they put like the tzatziki sauce on the side of the bread on the inside,
Ooh.
and then you got your you can do like lamb, chicken, beef, whatever. So I would always do lamb with like cucumbers, tomatoes, lettuce, and then sometimes spice, sometimes no spice, but it's the best food ever. A little bit dangerous, so we wouldn't eat it too often just because how heavy it makes you feel, but yeah, it's definitely my favorite. Or schnitzel. Schnitzel's just always a go-to.
Yeah, schnitzel's a German classic. Are you in or out on sauerkraut?
Growing up, I despised it. Like I would gag just thinking about it. But now that I'm older and I understand foods and stuff like that more, I love sauerkraut. I think it's awesome.
I tried sauerkraut. I think it was like although it wasn't like authentic German sauerkraut, so I'd have to give that a try. But I tried it like 3 years ago, and I was like, this isn't for me. I
Yeah,
ate it. I was like, I'm like,
yeah.
spit it out. I'm like, I can't.
I think the best way to try it would probably say like start with like a hot dog or a bratwurst and like mix it with like ketchup and mustard and try and work your way up to just eating it with other things. But yeah, I started to like it a lot more.
Yeah, no, that's good to hear. So another interesting question I had for you was, so for anyone that doesn't know, Gretz was actually committed to Ohio State before you went to Flint. I wanted to ask, were there any other schools that you were interested in, and what drew you to want to be a Buckeye?
Yeah, I actually had 4 or 5 offers, and just I went to a couple visits. I went to visit at Michigan. I was supposed to go to visit at Quinnipiac, ASU, Michigan State, and Ohio State was actually the first school I visited. And a lot of people say, don't commit to the first school that calls you, or, I guess for people who don't play hockey, don't commit to the first girl that calls you is more of a life reference there. But
Yeah.
um, when I first got there, I said I'd be dumb to not commit here. It's a beautiful school. They have unbelievable facilities, and um, it was a no-brainer for me to commit there. And the coaching staff was awesome. The people that recruited me were Mark Strobel and Steve Rollick. Steve Rollick is still the head coach there, I believe, and I think Mark Strobel went over to Wisconsin. So, yeah, they have a great facility. It's an unbelievable school.
Yeah, Ohio State's it's top tier now. I guess sticking with the Ohio State theme, do you think Michigan football will ever beat Ohio State?
No, no, come on.
I mean, I know you're kind of just saying you're saying it like one because I know you're a former Ohio State commit,
Yeah,
but yeah, and I don't know. I mean, I would like to see Michigan win once, but it just doesn't seem like it's going to happen anytime soon. Ohio State, at least for football, is a powerhouse.
yeah. I think like I don't know what it is for Michigan. I don't know what it is with me and not liking the U of M. Um, personally, I'd rather pull for state if I have to pick the two. I know Michiganders go crazy saying you have to pick one or the other, but I really don't care about either of them. My mom went to Alabama, so I grew up rooting for Alabama, and that's kind
Roll
of
Tide.
my team, Roll Tide. And it's not a bandwagon. My family lives down there still, so no, I love Ohio State. I love Bama. Um, Another school I've actually really enjoyed watching is Miami. I love their uniforms.
Mhm.
Same with University of Washington. They've had a couple good years. I just love all college football. I think it's so hype. It's fun. Kids our age, and yeah, I think it's cool. It's a great
Yeah,
sport. I like it
college.
more than the NFL.
That's I mean, I feel like that's a take that some people have. That I wouldn't say that's a terribly hot take. I think I was gonna say, so you were in the national championship game this year. You were full Alabama. You weren't rooting for Ohio State.
Yeah, yeah.
There was no like tough decision.
Yeah, I think either way I would have been happy, but
Mhm.
Bama's number one for me, so keep
Yeah,
it that way.
it's I mean, it's wild. I mean, the run they've been on with Saban, it's incredible. I mean,
It's
like
wild.
I think he's making like 9 sheets a year, like 9 million coaching. It's just absurd to think about. And I think
Yeah,
even I read that their quarterback, and anyone that's unfamiliar, like name, image, likeness is now a thing in the NCAA. So college athletes can get paid off their image. And their
yeah.
quarterback, I guess, has already made $1 million before he's even played a game or
It's wild,
something.
man. And like it was interesting watching them growing up too, because they used to be just the best defense in the country, and a couple offensive pieces like AJ McCarron and Amari Cooper, they would come in here or there. But then now we got like Tua Tagovailoa, we got wide receivers coming out everywhere. Like
Judy, Ruggs, Smith.
it's insane. And so I think seeing the program move towards, I guess, in the route of where Clemson is, kind of having that high power offense with the strong defense, it's just making college football that much better.
Yeah, that actually would have been interesting if Clemson would have played Alabama this past year, especially since they've played so many other times before. But I mean, obviously, it was cool to see Ohio State make it, especially see a Big Ten school do well, because outside of like Ohio State, the Big Ten really hasn't done that well. And I know there's gonna be people that listen to this and watch that are gonna complain that, oh, it's just four teams every year. But it's hard. I don't know, like Saban's doing something well. I mean,
Well, I think that whole SEC conference in general, you got LSU, you got Auburn, you got Alabama,
and
yeah, just all the teams are just loaded. And I think I even saw Texas or Texas Tech is trying to get in there.
it's gonna be Texas and Oklahoma in like
Yeah,
3
I don't.
years.
Yeah, I don't know how that's gonna. I think Oklahoma should definitely be in there, but Texas is a little. That's interesting, but no, I'm a big SEC fan as well. I wish the Big Ten would be good because I would love to go and watch some of these games, and I don't mean that in a bad way if you're a Big Ten fan, but I think as a fan watching those SEC games are very exciting because on both sides of the field you got 3 or 4 top 3 round NFL picks every year going to war against each other. So it's interesting.
Yeah,
It's fun.
especially that Alabama team last year. They had, I think it was 5 or 6 in the first round. Just wild, kind of like
Awkward.
exactly. It was insane. It's kind of like the '01 National Team Development Program in the NHL draft. They had at least 5 or 6. It was something insane like that.
Yeah.
So, would you say you're very much a horns down guy then in relation to Texas? You go horns down.
Yeah, horns down for sure. No,
And
like I said, I mean, I don't really care. I just love watching football, and if I'm gonna root, I'm gonna root for Alabama, but it's just fun to watch.
yeah, college football is very entertaining, especially seeing like all the student sections get really into it.
Yeah.
It's crazy. It's honestly a good, like, if you're not really doing anything on Saturdays, like, or at least before, if you go out or anything, I don't know
Yeah.
if there's much better to put on TV, at least sports wise, than
Yeah.
like college football. I mean, even like I could just, like, in my head, I'm listening to the SEC theme on CBS. It's a great theme
Maybe a
song.
Flint Firebirds game on a Saturday. That's probably a good call, but
Other than that, obviously, yeah. Other than that, yeah. Other than that, speaking of Flint, so you played with some pretty good guys. One of them, at least that we both are familiar with, is Håkan Nielsen. Do you got any stories? Anything funny he's done, because he's an interesting guy.
I've got a few stories about Hoax. He was on the team my rookie year. I love the guy. Great guy, always down to earth, just a good person all throughout. But there was probably a streak of maybe 6 or 7 games where he'd shoot the puck like over the glass and get a 2-minute penalty within like the last 10 minutes of the game. And yeah, it was a streak of 6 or 7 games, and it was just so funny. And we would give it to him about it, but he would know we were messing with him. But I've never seen that happen since. And then another thing, we were doing a food drive, and he was talking about, like, utensils, and like I think it was like baked beans or something. And he goes, yeah, we're giving them baked beans, and hopefully it's something to use, not eat, not do anything, but hopefully it's something to use. And we just said, come on, like it's not the right wordage. I said it, but we still give it to him when the video pops up again. It's hilarious. And it was in our end of the year video too, like saying something to use, and it was the thing around Flint for a bit with Hoax.
That has to be like one of the worst, like, not worst, that's got to be a pretty bad brain fart, where like you're thinking it, and then like it's like your brain just like switches the words on you, and then you're just caught in your tracks, like,
Yeah.
I didn't just say that, did I?
Yeah. Well, I think we've all had those moments. Like sometimes, between a period, I may drop like a bad word that I shouldn't say, but you're so caught in the moment, you're talking about the game, stuff like that, or I might say a sentence that doesn't make any sense at all. But in me, when you're thinking it in your head, trying to spit it out and go back into the locker and talk to your team and stuff, it's like, oh wow, I just said that. So you got to cut him a little slack, but it was funny for sure.
Yeah. Something funny I remember about him was we were like, it was like my first year doing like the spring tournaments with Igor, and he like, and like it was youth hockey, so you have to wear like a full face shield. but like for
Yeah.
some reason they let him wear a visor the first 2 games. And so we come back the second day and the ref's like, dude, you have to put a cage on. He's like, they let me wear a visor before. It's like, no, you got to put a cage on. So he puts a cage on, but like I still can't believe they just let him like get away with it.
Yeah. I don't know. I mean, I say if someone wants to wear a visor, let them wear a visor. Yeah, I mean, sure, you're gonna get hit in the face a couple times, but I noticed the only time I have gotten hit in the face is when I skate with kids who still play AAA. And I think once those kids start to get to, the older age, the juniors levels, it's almost more of a respect thing. You kind of learn how to control your stick, not when to be aggressive, when not to be too aggressive, just because you don't want to knock someone's teeth out, right? It's almost like
Mhm.
bad karma. So
Brutal karma.
yeah, I think I've only gotten hit in the face like 3 or 4 times. Last time I got stitches was in Erie, and a rookie high sticked me. So I think it's just learning, not to bring your stick too high and stuff like that.
Did you get your stitches out when you got back from LA? Because I remember you kept talking
Uh,
like Gretz kept talking about like while we're out there, he's like, yeah, I'm gonna get my stitches out while we're there, and then he doesn't even get them out. He waits till he gets home.
no, and when we got home, I went to like get the stitches out, and there was like sand and stuff caught in the
Oh
stitches.
my
I said
oh
this
god.
was just a terrible decision. Well, I was home for like 18 hours before I hopped on my flight to LA. I got right back from
Mhm.
Erie, not booked, packed a new suitcase and said, all right, let's go. So
Yeah.
it was a quick turnaround, and I didn't have time to get the zips out. And we didn't really have time while we were down there early either. Like we kept saying,
No.
oh, we have time, but by the time certain things would finish, we had to go right to the next thing, or we'd rather go to the beach than everyone watch me get my stitches out.
Or go to dinner, yeah.
Yeah, so it wasn't an issue. I think
No.
I think the scar is just worse than it should have been, but that's
Yeah.
cool.
It's yeah, scars are pretty
Yeah,
badass.
yeah, for sure.
So you also played with Delandria, who was a first round pick. I think he recently broke in the lineup. What was it like playing with Delandria, especially with garnering like that NHL attention on him?
Yeah, it was kind of crazy, honestly, because when we get into the locker room, he's best friends with everybody, and you don't really see him as like, wow, you just went 13th overall, like you're going to be playing in the league. He's not really one of those guys, and he's down to earth, and I learned so much from him, and he was a great influence on me as a person and me on the ice, and you know I even got to the point with him when I was trying to come back from my injuries. I'd say, look, man, like try and kill me on the ice, give me everything. Like when I go into a corner, I want you to like cross check me and stuff and, give it to me. And he would, he was a true captain, and he was a great person to learn from.
Yeah, and how cool is it that when he gets drafted, not only he gets drafted by like the host team of the draft, but Jamie Benn ends up coming out and making the pick. Like that's pretty
I
insane.
was actually there too. I was going berserk.
Oh, you were in Dallas?
Oh yeah, we
Oh,
we went to we went to the draft, and I was talking to Ty before, and I was like, so what do you think? And he goes, I really have no idea what to expect, man. And uh he had gotten there a little bit early, so I don't know if he was just lying to me a little bit or if he had an idea. But no, he yeah, I lost my mind for him. It was the coolest thing ever, just hearing Jamie Benn call his name and seeing my brother walk up on the stage. It was surreal for sure. And hopefully one day I could do the same.
absolutely. Who'd you guys sit next to at the draft? Like or sit near? Because I know they usually like players
Yeah.
they get sat near each other.
Um, I was actually right behind Keandre Miller.
Oh,
So I
shoot.
saw him get drafted to New York, and I think I was on the TV too, and I didn't even realize it. Yeah, so I saw Keandre Miller get drafted, who he just had a stellar rookie year. Good for him. Like
Hmm.
congrats to him. Um, but yeah, that was cool. And then I don't know if it was the year before that or 2 years before that, I was sitting behind Giovanni Smith when he got drafted.
That was I
So
think like 15 or 16, something like that. Yeah.
yeah, those were cool experiences, and um, yeah, it's crazy.
Yeah, Keandre Miller, what's interesting to me about him is he like when he was in high school playing high school hockey in Minnesota, he like switched from forward to D and then he just took off and yeah, he was pretty good. He was pretty good with the Rangers. I mean, sick franchise, obviously, to be
Yeah.
with, especially that's all everyone talks about. Like you get to play your sport for a few hours and you're just hanging out in New York City the rest of the time. Like that's like everyone's dream.
Yeah. Yeah. Same with LA, like San Jose, all those teams. Like I think it'd be a blessing to play anywhere in the league, but obviously, those certain teams have certain benefits like the beach and stuff like that that I'm sure the players love.
Or if you're Vegas, the Strip.
Yeah, yeah, but they're probably not out there too much.
No,
They're a pretty locked in team usually.
yeah, I know in a few interviews guys have done, they've said they stay out in Summerlin, which is I think it's like a western suburb of Las Vegas. So they don't
Yep.
usually hit the Strip up. I mean, obviously that's where a lot of, and I'm not saying this in a rude way, but obviously a lot of tourists and
Yeah.
others travel because obviously that's like the
Oh, there's
main part of Vegas. Well,
anything and everything you can do there on the strip.
yeah,
It's ridiculous.
literally. Well, they also play on the Strip too, and then even like the Raiders are there too. Which I guess a
Yeah.
funny story was I was this is when you guys were gone, so I was working out at Goal Line Performance. Shout out Goal Line Performance, really cool place to train. So I'm doing my workout with my trainer Kevin, and I look to my right and I see this guy who's just an absolute unit. He's probably like 6'4", 6'5", like at least 250 or 60 pounds. And damn, there's no way this guy doesn't play football. And so it turns out it's Rich Incognito who plays for the Raiders. He's an offensive tackle. And I was like, oh, I'm like, no way. I'm like, yeah, I mean, that makes sense that you said offensive tackle. But I got to talk to him after working out, and he's a very good guy.
Yeah.
He's a very good guy. We were just talking about anything. We were talking about Vegas. We were talking about Derek Carr. Like he was saying, Derek Carr is probably one of the more like underrated quarterbacks in the league. Like he's like, I can't believe that. Yeah, he goes, I can't believe that this guy gets as much slander as he does. He's unbelievable.
I feel bad for him in a sense too, because he really started to take off and then he started having injury problems. And I guess I could kind of relate to him in a sense there. He's struggled to get back to himself, but he's still a great quarterback, and you can't take that away from him.
I mean, he did beat the Chiefs last year. He was, I mean, the whole team, not the practice. I'm not the backups like the Chargers did in the meaningless game, but yeah, Rich was cool. And I guess the funny thing too was when I like went up to talk to him, he brought his own like blender to the gym, so he was just like blending his own protein shake.
It's kind of wild. Probably
yeah,
some stuff. He's probably a COVID freak.
I mean, probably. I mean, but I guess what's interesting is I guess he's from like he was telling me he's from like Scottsdale, so he's from Arizona, but he'll like spend time in LA, and then obviously it's pretty nice that he's not like terribly far
Right.
from Vegas. But I guess for me, what I'm interested to see this year is how that fan base is going to embrace the Raiders, because I guess the one thing with the Knights had was, and obviously it's unfortunate that it happened, but they had the shooting that happened, and the way that city rallied around the team was something special. And I just hope that Vegas can embrace the Raiders, because like they left Oakland and those Oakland fans were insane, just absolute rabid fan base. So I hope they can have some fan success there. I mean, shoot, now people are talking about maybe even the Oakland A's are going to move to Vegas. Like, who knows? Like Vegas becoming a sports town.
I think, I mean, it would be cool to see a couple more sports in Vegas, but I think for Vegas' sake, it should stay hockey and football now. I think even football was a bit of a stretch to get down there, just because now it's going to get really crazy. It's going to be a lot for the players. Like it'll be interesting to see too. And I don't mean this in an offensive way, but you don't really hear a lot about hockey players having too many off ice problems and stuff like that. But then you get around the NFL or NBA and stuff like that, you hear a little bit more drama off the court or drama off the field. And I think it'll be very interesting to see, what happens bringing football teams in, where it's teams of 50, 60, 70 guys. How are you going to keep track of everyone? Right. So I think the Knights should keep most of their fans, but it's Vegas, there's always tourists. They're both going to get good crowds, and it'll be a very interesting dynamic.
Yeah, and I think the other thing that someone was talking about when I was at ball hockey about Vegas was, like, for example, obviously it's such a big tourist destination, and like even for the Raiders, like I don't know who the Raiders offhand play week one, like when they're at home for the first game, but whatever fan base that is, or depending on some fan bases, it's cheaper to go to Vegas and like watch their team play there versus if you were to watch it at home. So
Oh,
I feel like you're going to get a lot of tourist fans that fly in for the weekend, go to the game on Sunday or depending Monday, Thursday, whatever, and then they're going to fly back. So I mean,
uh,
I think that'll be interesting.
another thing I see them doing is like ticket packages, right? So
Mhm.
I could see Vegas, the Knights partnering with the Raiders and, saying, okay, you know what, you come to this store, you buy a voucher. Raiders play Saturday, Knights play Sunday. You get your voucher, you go to the Raiders game, you get like probably like a free hot dog or free beer. Then you go to the Knights game the next day, free hot dog, free beer, same thing, but you knock two things out. So I'm sure that was a little business from me, but I think they'll probably do something like that just to bring the tourists to both sides, so they both aren't, I guess, trying to steal each other's fans.
Yeah, I think that's smart. And I guess the other thing that was interesting, Rich was talking to me about was he said he went to some of the Knights games against Colorado in the playoffs this year, and he said it was insane. Like the crowd was
I,
electric. He thought it was awesome.
I went to one of the Stanley Cup final games the first year when they were
Oh
against,
shoot. Which game was
and
it? It wasn't the clincher, was it? Five?
it was game 3 or 4, or
No,
were they
they had
were
home
they in
ice.
Vegas first?
Yeah, they're in Vegas
Yeah, so
first.
then it was game 2, and they lost, but man, that was the craziest, most fun I've ever had at a hockey game.
The
Like,
Holtby save.
oh, it was that was heartbreaking at the time. I was a huge Vegas fan, but no, just that atmosphere, like it's something you can't explain. You have to go experience because everyone's just having the time of their lives, and the show, it's like a show.
Mhm.
It's truly a Vegas show, and it's incredible to see. And that's probably another reason why they've had so much success, because everyone, like, when you go there, you can't hear yourself think.
No.
So being an away team flying into Vegas, the desert, first off, Vegas, second off, the fans, third off, it's almost impossible to win there. And it's been like that since they started.
And a quote that Alex Tuck had when he went on Chicklets, they asked him like, "Hey, Tuck, is the Vegas flu real?" And he's like, "Oh yeah, it's real." Especially that first year, Vegas
Yeah.
flu was huge.
Oh, no one could win in their barn. What was their record? Like 25 and like 3 or something like that. I can't even remember, but it was something ridiculous.
I can check, but like the one thing I guess while I check on that that's interesting was Tortorella when they the first year, I think he's like, yeah, he's like, I want my guys to have a good time in Vegas. I want them to enjoy it. And they got like smacked the next night.
Yeah. No,
Like,
I think another thing that helped them, that everyone was just like, oh, it's Vegas, they're not going to be a good hockey team. And then they put a great group of players together, that players that had something to prove. And William Karlsson, even after that amazing first year he had, he's still one of my favorite players to this day after that.
Wild Bill,
Yep.
awesome. So okay, I got the numbers. So that first year, Vegas at home went 29, 10, and 2.
Wild.
Like, talk about home ice advantage. And what's even interesting is, so they had what do you call it? They also had that they have a new rink, obviously, and that new rink is gorgeous too.
Yep.
So yeah, they just created the ultimate home ice
They're
advantage.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I mean, I guess what's interesting too is that how they've been good so early off the bat, especially when like you think that Bill Foley was like, come on, he's like, I paid like $500 million. Like I'm not gonna wait like a few years to be good. Like help me out a little bit.
Well, yeah, I think that was probably it too. I think they wanted to win right away, especially for the city after the shooting. The city needed something like that to come in and, kind of be the strong foundation to give the people something to believe in. And that kind of energy and that kind of environment, it takes you a lot further than you think. Especially like for me, like for an example, playing in Flint, we may not sell out every game, but when we have 2,000 or 3,000, we're louder than London's 10,000. And we get 2,000 probably average night. We sell out probably every weekend or every other weekend, but it's when you have that kind of atmosphere, you can win. The players are thriving in it. It doesn't matter who you could bring in. Everyone's going to, work together, and the team was put together unbelievably.
Yeah. What's your experience like playing road games in London, especially when the Budweiser Gardens is just absolutely packed with people?
It's more cool than anything. My rookie year, I started on military night, and they brought a tank onto the ice. It sucked because I was standing on the ice for an hour before the puck dropped on the
Mhm.
blue line. But the fans there are very, very quiet. It's not really a crazy atmosphere, but still you're playing in front of 10,000. So it's an interesting feeling. It's not the hardest place to play at all, just because how nice it is. You go to a place like Peterborough, the corners are square.
Mhm.
You get hit into those boards, you're gonna be hurting because they're just rock solid. Just London's a cool place to play, but it's very, very interesting setup.
I think the one other good thing about the OHL compared to the other leagues in Canada would be, at least what I think about, is the travel. I mean, just like the travel is a lot more favorable. And I had a friend of mine, Nikita Cedar, who played in Regina. We were talking about this, like in Regina, like it's such a long bus trip to go from Regina to Portland, Oregon,
Yeah.
where like like for you guys, like Flint, like it's not like as bad to go from like Flint to Ottawa.
Yeah, Flint to Ottawa is like 9 hours, and
Yeah, it's not even that
that's the
bad.
worst trip ever. But it's 9 hours only. Like even like players in the USHL, I hear about these 23-hour bus rides. I'm just saying, oh
Mhm.
my! And some teams have sleepers, some teams don't have sleepers. Like it gets wild. So the OHL is pretty blessed to not have crazy travel schedules.
Yeah, did you guys have any sleeper bus or no?
No, no. But our bus is really nice. We got Wi-Fi, chargers, whatever. If you want to sleep, bring a mattress. You can put it on the floor or a yoga mat. Guys lay out on the floor, and it's nice.
Yeah, that's good. What's your favorite like way to pass time on the bus?
Favorite way to pass time on the bus.
Like, what's your go-to?
Um, well, I'm a huge music guy. Could probably sing so many different artists, full playlist of songs, but um, I like talking a lot. I wasn't really big into cards. I'm starting to get into cards. I like playing cards now. Yeah, probably just talking, sharing memes with the boys or sending the boys funny stuff or me and my goalie Luke Kavlin were working on a business for a little bit. We decided to not go through with it, but we were working on that for a bit, and it's kind of whatever comes about. It's a lot of times too we're sleeping just because one night you're in Hamilton, the next night Kingston, and the next night um I don't know, Peterborough, for example. Like it's you play, you drive 4 hours, you sleep, wake up, go to the rink, eat lunch, go back, nap, wake up, go play another 4 hours, get to the hotel like 2 3 a.m. again, go to bed, wake up, go get lunch, come back, go to sleep. Say it's Sleep is very important at this stage, so we try and get in as much as we can.
So you would probably say that sometimes during the year it's definitely a battle.
Yeah, I think the 3 and 3s are a battle for sure. But now that I'm at this age and I kind of learn how to, make my body right, I guess not make my body right, but treat my body right. Like I said, I had a lot of injuries, and I was never able to fully get over some of them before hopping right into the next season. So this COVID time, I was able to get fully healthy and learn, say, hey, you know what? I did this, my back feels like this. This is how I can make it better. And I know I'm good the next day. Whereas, 2 years ago, if I tweaked my back or I tweaked my shoulder during a game, I had no idea how to fix it, what I was doing. And I would just keep pushing through it, and I would end up being badly injured. But so now I know, okay, you know what? This doesn't feel right. You do this, you're okay, you're ready to go. And it comes with experience and just learning.
Yeah, correct me if I'm wrong. One of the years you were in Flint, you guys got off to a really tough start. Like you guys lost a lot of games. How tough is it? How tough is it to go to the rink, especially knowing especially like when you guys are in such a rut like you were.
Yeah, it got really tough for a little bit, I won't lie. But the group of guys we had was so resilient. And the one year we started off 0-16 or 0-17, what it was, we beat the number one team for our first win, who hadn't lost a game yet. But then the next year we come back and we win 17 or 18 straight. So it's like it shows the character we had in that locker room. Yeah, we went through a really rough patch. We finished the year great, but we had a lot of young guys too, and it was a learning curve. And looking back at it, like, yeah, it was terrible to go through because it got to the point where going to the rink wasn't that fun anymore, except for seeing the boys and hanging out with them. And slowly, when our new coach Eric Wellwood came in, he started to build the culture and make the rink exciting again, and kind of get everyone right on the right track for the next year. And then yeah, we had a great year before the COVID year, and sadly we couldn't show what we could do in the playoffs.
No, yeah, it's unfortunate. And obviously you had a little bit of insight into what Buffalo went through this year when they lost. I think it was like 19 or 18 games this year, which was tough, sledding. And there was this weird like stat. It was like, this is like 2020 vision, so you never would know, but someone made a graphic where it's like, if you like bet the team against the Sabres, or you bet against the Sabres and took that winning and put it on them, like the other team the next game for the whole streak, I think you would have won like over like 100K or something stupid like that. But no one could have predicted it was gonna go that long. So
Oh, no.
it's like cool, but no one was gonna keep doing that.
Yeah, it's I feel bad too, because it looked like they were going to have an unbelievable team. And so I can't speak on that. I don't want to say anything bad, but it's they're still NHL players, and it's unbelievable too. And I'm interested to see about how some of these players are going to bounce back and find themselves again too, because I'm sure some of them were starting to struggle mentally. And I'm excited to see how they do this year, because they could probably come out of the gates and be one of the best teams. You just don't know what's going to happen, and the fact that they went through that, they're going to be a very strong, resilient group now.
Plus, they don't know if Eichel's going to be on the team come opening night either. That's one of the biggest what ifs. So you also mentioned Hamilton when you're talking about the road. You had a chance to play against a friend of the program, Mike Tyson. Well, what was it like trying to defend a guy with such a lethal release like this guy?
Yeah, I mean, it's Bike. Like,
Yeah,
you can't give that guy space anywhere near the top of the circles, or else it's bar down. It's crazy. I think we did a decent job of shutting him down. I don't know the exact points he had or anything. I think he had 1 point night, but then we shut him down most of the other times. But that kid's shot is unbelievable. You give him the puck anywhere, and if he has a second to shoot it, it's gonna go in. And like he showed in the NHL this year, got his first goal, and congrats to him. Love Bike, wild kid, but yeah, no, he's a great hockey player, and yeah, he's tough to defend. Don't block a shot either.
rocket, absolute rocket. And I remember I was texting Igor the night of his first game, and we're like, dude, he's gonna score. Like,
Oh, yeah.
it's just crazy. Like, there'll be games where like he won't touch the puck at all, but his first touch, goal.
Yeah, or it's like games, like I noticed it a couple times during the year. You're like, oh, he hasn't really done much. You look at the score sheet after, he has 3 goals and 4 assists, and you say, what? Like, the guy just lights it up, and he gets points, and it's fun to watch.
Yeah, there was a goal that Igor sent me of him that he scored in the AHL this year against Tucson, where like bounced off a few guys, and I'm like, if this isn't the most Bike goal I've ever seen in my life, I'm like, I don't know what it is. Like,
He finds a way to put it in.
he
That's all he's
does.
for.
And like, I know like you've like both of us like we've trained with him in the off season, like just seeing him like work like that in practice too, like 3-net drill or any small area game. It's like, here you go, here's the
He
puck.
just shoots every time he touches the puck. You'll
Yeah.
pass to him and he's facing the wrong way, and he'll take a backhand one-timer. Like,
Just back, yeah.
yeah. Uh,
No, yeah, yeah, that's just how he is. No, I'm hoping that he can crack the Kings roster. I think he would
yeah.
give him some top, some help. And I think I talked about this with Bobby too. Bobby Lynch was the fact that like he didn't get a second game after he scored in his first game. It makes no sense to me.
Yeah, but he's so young. Like it's,
Hmm.
why rush him, right? If they
Yeah,
don't think he's ready in a certain if his shot, NHL ready 100%, but if they don't think he's ready in certain aspects, they want him to get stronger, bigger, it's understandable because even the same goes for a guy like Turcotte, right? Like they're both unbelievable hockey players, but it doesn't do a player any good to put him in somewhere too early.
no,
Wait, let them develop a little bit, and they probably wouldn't have even gotten a game last year if it wasn't for COVID. So
hmm,
I you also have to think about that and take that into account, and they're fine no matter what. I think LA does a great job developing players, and it shows with the players they have, the players they have had, the Stanley Cups they've won, and it'll be fun to watch those two develop over the next couple of years.
for sure. And yeah, I think with Turk, what was unfortunate was he like signed, I think like a few days before like everything like shut down. So I
Yeah,
know like that's gotta be so disappointing that like you leave school, you're getting ready to turn pro and then lockdown.
yeah.
That's tough. And so you actually met Turk and obviously training with Igor at 2SP. How do you think 2SP has helped you out as not only a hockey player, but just as an athlete in general?
Yeah, I've been training at 2SP since I was about 15, and over the years, I've met some really cool guys, and guys like Turk started coming in too. I've known Turk since I was like probably 10, 11 years old, and so like guys like that started coming in. We got Josh Norris in there, Sean Day is coming in there now. Max Jones is in there right now. Cam Fowler's in there right now. So the environment you're around is probably one of the best gyms to be at for hockey in the States right now. And, the trainers are awesome. Whenever you need something, it always gets done. And, if you need rehab, Joe hooks you up. Joe's the trainer. And you can't complain going there. It's top notch.
It is, and I guess the one thing for me too that's pretty cool is just like the social dynamic too is really cool. Just obviously being with a great group of guys and just talking and like just kind of vibing obviously while you're putting in a lot of work. I think it's great.
Yeah, no, it definitely is because everyone's in there, giving 102%, right? It's insane. Like the workouts there are tough, but we're all in it together. We there's days where we're out on the turf for an hour before we even go in for our lift. So it's a lot of work, but you're grinding with guys who all have similar goals or who all want to succeed.
Absolutely. So obviously, you said you report to Flint on Sunday. What are some of your expectations coming up for this year, and what are you looking forward to?
I want to win. I look at my last, I guess, every year in the I haven't had a good experience at all with my injuries, and the team has struggled at times, but yeah, I think we've finally built a very, very good culture. The staff we have coming in is I haven't seen a staff like this yet in my hockey career. Everyone has experience at a very, very, very high level, and the professionalism is off the charts this year, and you can just kind of feel it in the air. We want to win, and so I'm just excited to get back, meet some of the new guys, and really try and help the younger guys too, because I know first couple of years in the league can be very tough, and for me going through what I did with mental health after my injuries and all that stuff, like I just want to be there for those kids and let them know, hey, you know what? There's going to be a time where you say, I just want to go home, but you can't. You got to battle. You got to find it deep inside of you, and it'll be worth it. And, I think it'll be fun for me to be in kind of a leadership role this year and, hopefully be able to help some of the younger guys out.
I thought that was well said, and I guess sticking with the mental health theme because I think that's kind of overlooked and not really talked about that much in today's world.
Yeah.
What is your advice to anyone out there that's struggling right now or not really going through the best time to kind of help them start to get out of it?
Yeah, I think the biggest thing for me was I had to look at the people I was surrounding myself with too. And I took a really long look and I said, these people aren't going the direction I want to go in life. They're partying a lot, they're out a lot, they're not training enough. And I just said, you know what, that's not good. And so I took a long, long time off social media, like almost a year. And I just fought every demon in myself I could, my depression, my anxiety. I would purposely go out of my way just to make myself upset and learn how to handle it and how to deal with it. And I think the best piece of advice, though, I could say is just take one step. You know, no one's going to come and tell you to turn the TV off. No one's going to come and drag you out of bed. That's up to you. And I think a lot of people are waiting for someone to say, get it together, but no one will because everyone thinks that's what's making you happy, but deep down it's eating you alive. So, take one step, go to the gym one day. If you don't want to go the next day, you don't have to, but it's winning little battles here and there, looking back and acknowledging you won the battle. It's mental health is something very hard to talk about too. And, everyone has a different story. Everyone has their own story. Everyone has their own things they're battling with. So, um, yeah, you just have to take a step and everyone has different ways to cope.
Yeah, I think well, first, thank you for sharing that. And yeah, I think that you have to kind of look inward and reflect. A movie quote that kind of goes back to that is we never lose our demons. We only learn to live above them.
Yep.
So to me, when I first heard that quote, it's true. I mean, like their demons still are there,
Yeah.
even for people that struggle with like addiction, your demons are still there. You've learned to live above them, and you have to continue to live above them every day.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think that the more awareness we can bring toward mental health, because as you know, with sports, it's 80% mental. So the mental side of it is so big. Where I feel like a lot of people that aren't really in fine tune with the sporting world think, oh well, yeah, it's just physical, mostly physical. Well, no, it's not.
Yeah.
It's mostly mental because it doesn't matter what ability you have if you're not in the right head frame. Like it's even like with the not to get too much into it, but like with the Simone Biles things with the Olympics, it's like, well, she wasn't in the right headspace. Like especially with gymnastics, that's such a dangerous sport where she could be paralyzed with one wrong move. You can't. You're not in her shoes. You don't know what she's
Yeah.
going through.
If your mind is not in the right place, every sport is a game of inches. Think like another example too, NASCAR today. If someone's not in the right headspace in NASCAR, one mistake will be catastrophic. And so I'm happy society's moving in a way to, acknowledge that it's okay to not be okay. But at the same time, I think we're still putting down people with mental health and mental health issues and kind of treating them like aliens. And I've had that happen to me before. I'm not going to name names because I don't like doing that stuff, but I've had people just have no idea what's going on in my head, and they kind of treat you differently and look at you differently and think something's wrong. And you don't want to have those things happen to you or do some of the things people might do when they feel that anxiety or depression. But that's another thing. I think people need to be more understanding and more accepting. Not everyone's perfect. Everyone has their own issues. Everyone's done something terrible in their life. Nobody's perfect. Nobody's an angel. And everybody love everybody. Jackie Moon. Like
Mhm.
it's doesn't matter who you are. I think you should treat people the way you want to be treated.
And there's the Flint connection as well. I think, yeah, I think that's rather said. And I guess uh, transitioning it, a little game I have for you is this or that. So I'm gonna give you two different scenarios you're gonna choose. So I'll show these all for you. These are funny. So the first one is Polo G or Olivia Rodrigo. And for those wondering why I chose those two, so every time we would get in the car that we rented while we were out in LA, Either Blackhearted by Polo G or Good For You by Olivia Rodrigo. Those two songs were always the first two we played. So, all right.
Uh,
So, Gretz, which one you pick?
if those two could hop on a track together, that'd be pretty lethal. But I think I'm gonna roll. Oh, that is tough. I think it depends on the mood. Like if I'm on the way to the gym, I'm definitely gonna be going Blackhearted, Polo G, like just getting in the zone. But like if I'm on the way to the golf course or just done for the day, driving around, windows down, Good For You, full blast, hand out the window, just bobbing my head to the music.
Do you like Driver's License from her as well?
Yeah, who doesn't like driver's license?
The
Such
song like took the
such
internet
a
by storm.
yeah.
Yeah, I probably would say Olivia just because I don't know. I mean, like Polo G's, he's not terrible, but like he's not really my first choice for rappers I would listen to. So I would probably say Olivia Rodrigo. I Catch or The Nice Guy. So two
Catch,
places that we went.
catch,
Yeah, I would say that's pretty
catch
easy.
over
Catch,
everything.
catch.
Like,
Nice Guy was good though. It like
oh yeah,
our waiter we had was a homie that night.
oh yeah, beauty.
He was a beauty, yeah. But Catch and like even like it being on the rooftop, it was like
The
just the views
the
unbelievable.
atmosphere, the way they treated us, the food, everything was just unbelievable there, and
We did spend a lot of money too.
it
Yeah.
was an expensive dinner, but that is the one dinner I've looked back on it. I said that was worth the money.
100%.
I think it was a very, very smart dinner to go there. I would have gone
Absolutely.
again, but we wanted to try different stuff.
There's always next time for there. We're going beach towns, Santa Monica or Malibu.
Malibu.
Yeah, I think it's pretty easy, Malibu, especially. So what's funny is we went to Zuma Beach and Paradise Cove. Paradise Cove is where Harry Styles filmed the Watermelon Sugar music video, which unbelievable music video, by the way. But I thought it was better just because it was a lot less crowded. Zuma Beach, I was like,
Yeah.
this is like a public beach. This is
Yeah.
too many people. Where Paradise Cove was a little cooler, and obviously the only thing that sucked was like it was just really rocky. So
Yeah.
like you get
Well,
in
we
the
couldn't
water, you're
even
stuck on
boogie
the
board.
rocks. No,
We tried to go boogie board and we all cut our feet on the rocks. Yeah,
that
I
was
remember.
so rough. Yeah,
I got out pretty decent. I got out decently far though. No,
you did. Yeah, Gretz
I
was
think I
out
got
there.
out the
Like
furthest, but still trying to get back was just a bagger.
it was an
And
adventure. Yeah,
the waves that day were wild too.
they actually were. Yeah, it was actually like it was probably the perfect day to go boogie boarding because of how the waves
Yeah.
were.
Yeah.
I thought. Now this last one, like some people might think it's the same thing, but I'm gonna have to ask it. Beach shirt or Hawaiian shirt?
Beach shirt. It's a beach shirt. I mean, come on. I mean, I've heard Hawaiian shirt. Igor did not say Hawaiian shirt. He said like blah 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 runway shirt, like it was made in France. Like, come on, man. We're going to the beach. It's a beach shirt. Like,
Oh my god, this
come
is
on.
I guess what I know is when he watches this on YouTube, he's gonna laugh. He's gonna be like, "What's this guy thinking?" But
He's gonna probably text me and say, "What is wrong with you?" I'm gonna respond back and say, "What is wrong with you?"
probably
Runway
will.
shirt.
No, well, what's even funnier was like, without giving too much away, like a night before we like ended up going out, like we had this conversation and like Gretz is like, yeah, it's a beach shirt, and Igor's like, what did you just call it?
Yeah, he got
this is
rattled.
he's like, this is straight off the runway, and Gretz is like, what? Like,
Yeah, like, come on, Gore. Love the guy, but that's a beach shirt, man.
yeah, I don't know. I mean, it can go either way. I mean, and here's the funny
I
thing too.
think you're safe either way. I just didn't like being ridiculed for calling it a
Yeah.
beach.
I mean, I first knew it as a Hawaiian shirt, but for those out there, to be fair, I looked up both of them on Google, and like the same exact thing pops up. So I mean, it's like tomato, call it what you want.
Yeah.
But yeah, and that was God. That's like I'll even like I'll even throw that in like our group chat as a joke. I'll be like, yeah, Gretz, like, how do you like my beach shirt? Just to get him going. And he's like, you scumbag.
Like, you guys are saying it like I'm wrong. We should make people comment. Beach shirt or Hawaiian shirt.
That's a good idea, actually. So I'm gonna, when this goes live tomorrow and I'm gonna obviously include it on the story, but like we're gonna do a poll. I'm gonna put a poll on my personal Instagram: beach shirt or Hawaiian shirt. We're gonna we're gonna get to the bottom of this.
Whoever says beach shirt.
Hey, you heard it here first.
I'll buy my votes.
Absolutely. So Gretz, where can the lovely followers and listeners, where can they find you on your social platforms?
Instagram, Gretzy, Gretzy. Twitter, Gretz Marcus. And yeah, I'm looking to start a YouTube channel at some point, but we'll see what happens.
That'd be awesome. Obviously, I would subscribe to that. I guess a one last question would be, who would you like to see me interview on the pod?
Who would I like to see you interview? How about Nicholas?
Eliza? I actually, well, okay, so I already technically had him on a little bit. In my first episode, I had him on. So yeah, it was funny. Yeah, just having him like talk about like youth hockey. So who else? Because I already had
maybe like Joe Neal or Ripon.
Oh, Ripon. I gotta reach out to Ripes.
Maybe even Nate.
Or Nate. It's weird. Nate, I talked to Nate. Nate was like, "Oh, if he gets some better stories, he'll come on." I think Ripon would for sure. I gotta hit Ripon up. He's in Hawaii right now. Just doing his thing.
Yeah,
yeah. It's funny. Like for those that know the saying, "Life is a movie." Like it's obviously said in such a joke way, but I kid you not, Ryan Lauderdale, trainer in LA, great guy. He can say it unironically. Like he'd be like, "Oh, guys, last night was a movie."
It's always there's always a few good kids who can actually say it and it sounds okay.
He's one of them. Yeah.
You hear all the frat stars are like, "Bro, tonight's a movie." Like, okay, relax. You're going to a basement with 50 people and you're going to be sweating all night. Like, calm down.
Exactly. Take it easy, Chad.
Yeah. Calm down, Brad. Calm down, Brad.
Yeah, you're all right about that. Yeah, Ripon's one of those guys that he can definitely pull it off. So yeah, I'm gonna send him a DM this week and get him on. He's really funny. And I guess also without giving too much away, he was supposed to come out that night, like go out with us that night. That we ended up going out in LA like that Saturday, but like he had something else came up. But he's someone like on my like that I definitely want to like go like have a night on the town with. Like
oh yeah,
it would be so electric. Oh my god.
I think once we all get to that age, I think it'll be very interesting too, because like you know all the cool parents or the cool trainers and stuff, but we're just not old enough to have fun with them. So I think once we all get to that age, it'll be very interesting to see friendships and even looking forward to like our generation, right? Like we're all turning into our 20s and stuff like that, and friends are going to be getting married soon. Like it's going to be crazy next 10 years, and it's really exciting.
It is. I guess like last topic, because you brought it up, how many weddings have you been to? Because weird thing for me, I've only been to one wedding, and it was like a family member's. I don't know. I was like 5. Like I was so young. I haven't been to a wedding since.
Yeah. So funny story. My old agent, Peter Ward, he ended up being the scout for Vegas Golden Knights for a couple years. He was the scout for NTDP for a long time. Went back to USA after Vegas, and then now he kind of runs his own training program and stuff. But I was supposed to go to his wedding, but I had a game that night. So my game was in Flint, and his wedding was like kind of Muskegon area. If I remember correctly, Muskegon, Grand Haven area, northern Michigan. And my game ended up being over at like 9:30, 9:40. And I hopped in the car and flew. I didn't make it to the actual ceremony or anything, but we got to sit down with him at the restaurant after everything was done and just talk to him a bit. So that's the closest I've ever been to making it to a wedding, but I've never actually sat down for one.
Yeah. Weddings are definitely like an experience. And like you said, what's interesting is obviously when you get in your 20s, it's kind of opens that period for where now more and more your buddies get married and more people get married. So
Yeah.
yeah, it's definitely an interesting experience that those that have been to them can probably attest to, but we're kind of wedding rookies, so
Yeah. Yeah.
we wouldn't really know.
I'm the trash one,
Oh,
but
same. Yeah, I mean, just go. You'll be Vince Vaughn. I'll be Owen Wilson.
yeah. Yeah. What a great movie that is.
The
But
movie's so funny. So yeah, what any last words you have for any of the listeners? I know you obviously there's some good advice you gave regarding mental health. We appreciate that, obviously.
yeah. I guess, it's life's life. Take it easy, and what's meant to be is meant to be, and what's not is not. So best thing I can say is just be patient with yourself as a person, as an athlete, as a human being. Just be patient with yourself and give yourself a break when you need it. And yeah, it's everyone's just got to smile.
Yeah, and I think the one thing that at least our generation needs to hear is like we have so much time, and I know that's weird to say, but just because you haven't made it at like for example like I know Gary Vaynerchuk said this, there's such an expectation that you have to have everything figured out at 23 when there's posts out there you could check where like for example like Walt Disney, I think he was bankrupt or he wasn't successful at 23. There's so many successful people that like at 23, like whether they're like they were still working like minimum wage jobs, they were still barely making the ends meet, and eventually they became uber successful. So like you're saying, you just have to stay patient, and just because you haven't made it at 23 doesn't mean you can't make it at like 30 or even 40.
Yeah. It's trusting the process. Joel Embiid.
Well, I mean, it hasn't really been that successful for Joel and Ben Simmons, but it is. We'll see about that. But yeah, thanks again for joining, Gretz. It was a fun chat.
No, PK, thanks for having me. I love talking to you.
Of course, I appreciate it. All right, big thanks to Marcus Gretter, as his nickname is, for hopping on the pod. Very nice to catch up with him as he enters his final season of junior hockey with the Flint Firebirds. Obviously, make sure to give him a watch during the season as they look to be a winning club. As always, podcast Instagram is PK's Place Podcast, posting a lot of good content on there, posting clips, and things like that. And my personal Instagram is p.hughes15. Make sure to follow the podcast on Spotify, iTunes, anywhere you get your podcasts for that matter, actually. Click, especially Spotify, click the bell to be notified when new episodes drop. They drop every Monday. Tuesday is when the YouTube drops, although there was a little Wi-Fi issue here, so I was not able to get it uploaded until Sunday when I'm recording this, but it should be up usually every Tuesday. And come by, say hi, leave a 5-star review. Those reviews are very much appreciated. They help me out, and share it, send it to friends, do whatever. I mean, more people we can get listening to better. That's all for episode 11. I'll see everyone next week. Have a fantastic week, and let's get after it.